Let's go ahead and get started. I apologize to any of you who thought it was going to be 4:15. That's the normal time, but the email went out saying 4:25 today, so I wanted to give everybody a chance to get here. For the recording, this is February 14th, 2018, and this is our weekly workshop for Trader Vision. And we'll keep this up at least the next couple months, longer if it is needed by the users. So let's get started here. Here's what I want to try to cover today. Because this was open to the public, I'm going to do a little bit of general overview stuff, but then we'll get into using the product, and I'll go through some examples. Maybe we'll even plan a few trades. So the first thing I want to cover is questions that every trader should ask themselves, followed by what Trader Vision can actually do, because some people don't know. I've got some questions about that. And then I'll talk about what the components of Trader Vision are, throw out a limited time deal that's only good until the 1st of March, and then we'll get into using it and some examples, and I'll answer all your questions, and I'll stay as long as you guys have questions to ask. So let's move ahead here. So these are the questions every trader should ask themselves. First, do you have a good set of trading rules? Do you know what particular things every chart that you're considering buying has to do? If you don't, you need to develop those rules. Do you know what works for you? What setups are best for your particular emotional makeup? Some people can take a little bit of pressure, some people can't. Some people need to buy on a pullback, some people need to buy with more confirmation of a bullish move for long trades. You need to understand what works for you and what doesn't work so well. And that's the next question: what doesn't work so well? No matter what somebody else does, if it doesn't work for you, you need to avoid it. And we've talked about this in the trading room before, where just because he posted last, I'll use Steve. I can't trade Steve's trading plan. He can't trade mine. At least we can't trade them as well as the ones that work best for us. Every person is different. They have their own level of aggression and conservatism, their own level of various emotions. And those things all go into how well you trade. And if you don't trade what works best for your makeup, you will underperform. Do you plan all of your trades? And if you don't plan your trades, stop. There's your problem. You need to learn to plan your trades. And once you plan your trades, do you then trade your plans? And again, I know a lot of traders who, no matter how much time they spend planning trades, and they will spend considerable time, once they're in, they throw that out the window and they're really managing the trade by the seat of their pants. And that too is a huge mistake. And the whole idea behind asking yourself these questions is to do more of what works and less of what doesn't. So let's talk about Trader Vision 2020 and how it might help. First of all, it will help you develop and use a strong trading process and the rules to control your trading. It will help you improve the quality of the trades you take. No more chasing and jumping. You will have validated trades to actually trade. It will help you identify and eliminate trading problems that you have. Sometimes we're aware of them, sometimes we're not. This tool will help you find those things and work them out of your trading regimen. It will help you control your emotions. That's a mistake, Kenny. I'm not sure what to tell you, but I know that Doug would tell you exactly the same thing. It's the old teach a man to fish and he'll be fed for life, and give a man to fish and he may be hungry tomorrow. And finally, it will track your performance so that you can then break things down. I don't know about you, but I've recorded things over the past 20 years on paper and on spreadsheets and on combinations of paper and spreadsheets, and then that becomes a nightmare to then collate and organize and actually make use of the data. So again, it helps automate the paperwork, takes all the hassle out of actually logging and analyzing your trading more than one trade at a time. All that so you can do more of what works and less of what doesn't. So Trader Vision is made up of what we'll call widgets, and each of these widgets has a particular task. The first one is goals, which as it sounds, goals will help you set long-term trading goals and break those down into per trade goals that you need to meet, and give you parameters to manage with, knowing what you need to keep your losses below, what you need to keep your per trade gains above to stay on track for your financial objectives. We have a dashboard that tells you with a glance what you're doing in your account right now, how much of it's in cash, how much of it's long, how much of it's short, what the recent performance has been. You can look at 1 day, 30 days, 60 days, whatever recent means to you, to see how you're doing recently and know it with an actual number, not gee, February's been rough, but to know, well, gee, in the last 2 weeks I'm actually done this XYZ. We have a charting package built in, and that's still evolving, but it will get better, and it's already pretty awesome for the age that it is, considering it's brand new. We have the ability to save watch lists so that you can keep track of the charts you want to track. I will skip trade for a moment, but trade log is, as it says, just a log of all your trades, planned, opened, and closed. Performance allows you to break down your performance and report it by dozens of different slices and dices. You can also write your own reports, because we include a built-in reporting tool. And finally, Account Manager allows you to keep your Trader Vision records in sync with your brokerage. For example, they may charge you a fee, or perhaps you have a new deposit or a withdrawal if you're living out of one of your trading accounts, and you'll want to input those things not as trades but as actual withdrawals or deposits or fees. And finally, the trade, which is a sub part of the trade log, is the heart of the system and allows you to validate. Roger, the screen has not changed, I don't know, in a minute. So I'm just talking here. I'm not going through showing each of these. But finally, the trade is a sub-component of the trade log widget, and what it does is allow you to validate, plan, and execute the trades that you're looking at. Okay, there's your screen change, and it looks like we've got a lag with Omnovia. Webinado's a very slow process for some reason. Ridiculously slow. Basically, and again, Steve, can you help Pac tell him to use the red X? Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It is, the lag is what it is. It's a Webinado thing. My My system is extremely fast on all other websites, and I don't know what to tell you. I don't know of anything that I can change. So for the new people from the public, insiders, members of Hit and Run and Right Way Options are already aware of this, but for the public, we're offering a limited time deal on Trader Vision until the end of February. As of March 1st, the price goes up, but until then, $37 gets you 60 days to use and try Trader Vision. After that, it's $37 a month. If you wait, on March 1st, the price goes up to a $149 setup fee, and then the same deal, $37 per month after that. So if you're interested, please don't send me PMs, guys. I won't look at it right now. JJ, the price goes up, as it says on the screen, March 1st. So you need to take advantage of this. I would strongly recommend before the end of February to lock in, save yourself that $149. And let me just scroll up. There's the link to the product for anybody who wants to take advantage of that. Now let me go on and actually get to what the main purpose of this evening is. That's as much commercial as you're going to get. I'll wait for the screen to update here. William, I'll get back to you afterwards. Let me go on with the demonstration here and answer questions, and I'll get back to that. Same thing with you, Bob. Okay, so this is Trader Vision. As I said, each of these different components are called widgets, and this goals widget allows you to plan out your goals. So I want to take my account balance and this sample account from 52,250 up to 60,000. I want to do it in 12 months. That means I need to make 1.16% per month, and then I break that down into what do I need per trade, and are those numbers realistic to enable to reach that plan. And then finally, for position sizing, what do I want to keep as the maximum amount of my account per trade, and if I keep my trades to that side in order to reach these goals over here, what does that mean my average trade needs to be? As I said, we do charting here. Let's knock this down to 100. So this is just an example. EVHC has been doing a pullback here and now is right at the J-hook breakout level. Volumes here, right click, and you can add a large number of, a reasonable number of indicators to the chart or below the chart. And you can also add it to one of your watch lists if you like that. The watch list, and again, there are multiples. You can choose any of your watch lists. You could have many of them open at once if you want, whatever you want to do there. And you have a lot of information about it. We're also adding some more fields here, which would allow you to customize and say, well, I want X field, Y field, I don't need this, I do need that, etc. The dashboard that I mentioned earlier just gives you a quick snapshot for each of your accounts, what the current balance is, what you've got open, what you've done, how many trades are open and so forth, and what chunk of your account is in cash, what's in longs, what's in shorts, etc. You can look at your recent performance here. It defaults to 30 days, but you could look at 1 day. No, Dave, it works in the Mac environment as well. Windows and Mac. OS X. No. I tried that, and when you go Linux, you've got to do two flavors to start with, the RPM as well as the, so the Deb based as well as the, I guess, Red Hat based. And frankly, there just was not enough users to make it worth the while of managing and maintaining two different sets of code. We had one Linux user, and that was just too much work for one user. Continuing on here, you've got a list of your open trades. You can double click on either one of those. Well, I've got two, so either one of those, or highlight it and click open trade. In either case, yeah, I understand that. I had a recent problem with a Microsoft update myself, and I go through that every few years. I have the urge to drive to Redmond and kill somebody, and then I go to the other extreme in a few years where I just want the standardization of Windows so that I'm with the 95% of people out there. AJ, no, it does not work for options at this point. I'm actually hiring another programmer right at this moment, and we will get to work on an options version. We'll get to work on a scanning widget that'll allow us to scan for trades. The whole idea behind Trader Vision is that it becomes a one-stop shop, so an end-to-end support tool for traders so that they can set goals, find trades, validate and plan their trades, manage their trades, and log and analyze their performance, and then just repeat that virtuous cycle, continuing to spiral upwards. Yeah, I guess I should. The account manager, as I talked about, lists all my open positions. If I had open orders with my brokerage and I was integrated here, which we don't have enabled at the moment, but we will soon for Tradier through TradeHawk, as well as MB Trading. We will do interactive brokers. To some extent, we will do Thinkorswim, because Thinkorswim simply does not, their new management is not proactive. TradeStation, I think so. 2.5 years ago, I reached out to TradeStation about doing the integration, and they weren't ready. They said no. But they contacted me, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks ago, something like that, and said they were finally ready to do it, and if I was still interested, they were going to start doing the back-end work on their side sometime this quarter. I have not heard back from them since my reply, but based on that email, they're going to get their system to a point where it's integratable. In other words, development API at some point. I'm not sure about Tastyworks. We'll have to talk to Sosnoff and see. I just don't know. I have not. I've got so much other stuff on the plate. I have not got to the point of chasing that sort of thing. But here's where you would enter, if you have a brokerage fee, or you put in a new deposit, or took money out. This is how you could record it and keep Trader Vision in sync with your brokerage. Yeah, Ally Invest is MB Trading. Yes, Louise. Or Lewis, I guess it is. So that is in the works. Performance, again, this is how you, this is a sample account, a test for demonstration. I've only got one closed trade in it, so it doesn't really give us much to work with here. But it gives you overall statistics. You can see visually how you compare to the SPY. You could set up your account to be compared against whatever you want. But you can see how in the last, this month, the SPY fell off a cliff, and it's just rebounded here the last couple days. And then you have reports where you can, it comes with a dozen basic reports, and then you can write your own reports, what fields you want to look at, how you want to slice and dice the data, and of course what period you want to look at. And then finally trade log, and that's where we want to spend our time. This is the heart of the system. It logs all of your open, planned, or closed trades, and keeps track of those so that you can come back at the end of 6 months or a year or 2 years from now and look at all of your trades. And by looking at, let's just open a new one here. By looking at the trade record itself, let's pull this down. There we go. You'll be able to see what you're doing. The best way for me to explain this would be to do a couple examples. So let me just pull up some charts here. Here's one that I was looking at today. This is SRNE. These were ones we were looking at in the trading room. Biotech, so that may not be something that thrills a lot of people, but it had been a long-term run, had been pulling back here for, what, 6 weeks, something like that? 3 weeks maybe? Yeah, about a month. And it's now testing the breakout past the previous highs there. You can see that off of the weekly chart I've already drawn some support and resistance levels above, and it just happens that when I drew my fibs, there's very tight convergence in a few places, and so those are probably going to be good places to set my targets. So just as for argument's sake, I threw up some prices here, and let's go through and plan out SRNE. See if it validates for our needs. Let's make this, I'm only willing to risk 200 bucks. First of all, what does it tell me? According to these trading rules or market conditions, I've got 5 bullish conditions and 1 bearish condition. What are my bullish conditions? Well, the overall market, in this case for this account, it's the SPY. The long-term trend is up, the short-term trend is down. For the symbol itself, for SRNE, the long-term trend is up, the short-term trend is up. And we've got the T line, which is the 8 EMA, above the 34 EMA, again bullish. We've got plenty of liquidity. It trades almost $17 million a day worth of stock. No candle signal today, but you can see the last 6 candles here for you, and you can get the open, high, low, and close for those. From a pattern standpoint, we've got a couple bullish things going on. We've got a bullish J hook in process here, and we've also got a bullish triangle in process. So that's where we're at. We can see that because I had planned out some goals for this account, I need to make $250 per goal, and we can see the current price is 8.25. So let's see what we can do in terms of a plan to see if this is really going to work for us. Let's say that we're going to get an entry of, let's call it 8.30. So waiting for a breakout, want it to close above, retest, and then buy. I'm going to put my stop down here. Let's call it $8. And I'm going to have a first target up here about, let's call it $9.25. Splitting the difference between the support and resistance line I had dropped in on a weekly chart and the fib number of 921, which is the 23.6 extension. The second target's going to be up here. Let's call it 990. And then the third target's up here at the 61.8 extension, which is 1075. It says we can buy 666 shares and stay below the maximum loss I'm willing to accept if I'm stopped out of 200 bucks. I know for this account that's way too much for an account size. So let's just do 200 shares, see what that does us. 200 shares means I'll have about little over 3% of the account value in this trade. I would be risking 60 bucks if I get stopped out, and potential if I hit all three of my targets of making 1,660, which is a huge reward to risk. Let's say that I sell 100 shares at that first stop. That's 11.45%, 11.45. It's not part of TC2000. I just had all my charts. I'm still not using Trader Vision completely, and I have all the charts that I had pulled up in a watch list on TC2000, which is the charting package I've used in previous years. So that's how it's related. It's really not. It just happens to be that I had these tickers listed in Trader or in TC2000. So if we went out and put this plan together, what does this tell us? Well, it tells us the reward at each of these levels. I'm really not going to make my goal until I make that third price target. And there's probably not a lot that I can do, even if I sold all 200 shares at that first target. I don't think I'm going to make my goal. I'm not. So I either have to decide this is not a valid target based on the weekly chart, and go to the second one. And if that's the case, maybe I make this 0 shares. Maybe I can convince myself that this is truly a better target, and I'm going to sell 100 shares there. That gets me 160, and 100 shares here. That would get me a total of $400. The risk reward is great, but again, it all will depend on whether or not I think this is truly potential resistance, so a potential reversal point. If it is, this trade probably doesn't work. If it's not, and this second one is actually the most valid place that I'll find resistance, then the trade would work for me. And of course, I can record screenshots and attach them. In fact, let's just do that for argument's sake. Let's take a quick screenshot here. This is what I was seeing. So I add that file, and so I can add as many images or spreadsheets or PDFs if there's an earnings release that I want to add, something of that nature. We can add them all, and then I can get a quick preview of that image as well. Record my notes, and then when I move this trade to the execution section, it will record every adjustment that I make, so that if I move my stop, it will record you moved your stop, and or I changed the shares because for some reason I decided to close the trade after and violate the plan. It will record that as well, and you'll be able to see that down the road, get back into your head. What was I, what happened here? What was I thinking? Of course, you can set alarms at any price level here. So your entry price, your target prices, your stop price, and you have different sounds that you can provide for each. You'll get a visual pop-up window as well as the sound going off. After a trade's over, then you can record your trade and say grade yourself on your discipline, record any mistakes that you make, record your emotions at the time of entry, what you were experiencing during the trade, and then at the time of exit, what you were feeling. And this will allow you to come back later and say, I was angry at time of entry. Um, well, on average, what happens when I trade when I'm angry? You may find that that's a bad thing to do, and you need to learn to walk away when you're angry, not look at the keyboard. At any rate, this is the process of planning planning a trade and what that would look like, and that's one you can look at for tomorrow. Let's do another one. We'll use let's look at VIPs. Okay, there's VIPs. Nice run up, beautiful trend, fairly strong pullback. We had a Morningstar type signal here, and we've now broken out of the J hook. I'm probably going to want to see a pullback here and a retest, so I would be looking for an entry someplace around 18 bucks. Let's just so I'm looking for an entry, let's call it, let's just call it 18 bucks. So let's plan out a trade. Again, I'm going to reduce this to a $200 potential loss is what I'm willing to risk. Again, we've got 5 bullish indicators and 1 bearish indicator. The market bias, again, based on a 5-day, is the only thing that's negative against us here. We've got no candle signal per se, but we do have the bullish J hook that we've broken out of and the bullish triangle that we've broken out of. So let's go ahead and plan a trade here, and we'll just do that. We'll just do one entry and 2 targets. So if I'm looking at $18 entry, let's try that again, and looking at a 1750 stop, I'm not sure that's reasonable. Yeah, that would be below the big candle today. So let's say that that's reasonable. Well, yeah, partially. If you'll notice up here it says current. So what you can do is you can look at this is the indicators as they currently look. But you can also then look at the date when you entered a trade and the date when you closed a trade. So you basically can get 3 snapshots of what the market conditions, which I think of as my trade rules. I only want to trade with the trend. I only want to trade with a certain amount of liquidity. I only want to trade certain candle signals and certain candle patterns when they're in place. So I think of this as my trade rules, and I can see those as of right now, as of the date when I entered the trade and the date when I exited the trade. So perhaps not exactly what you're saying. So I can't just type in a date and say, show me what the market conditions were on, I don't know, January 17th or something of that nature. But you can look at it as of the critical dates for the trade, current as of now, as well as the date when you entered the trade and the date you exited the trade. I hope that helps. I'm not sure what I was doing. Okay. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that 1975 is my first target and 2050 is my second target. And I don't know if those numbers are correct, but just for expediency's sake, it says I can buy 400 shares and stay below $200 max risk. Again, I know that's too big for this account. Again, let's go with 200. I think that's going to be too much, actually. Let's go 100. This is a small account. That's almost 3.5%, so I can probably handle that. And with 100 shares, if I do 50 at the first stop and 50 at the second stop, what does that do for me? Well, I'm only going to make 212 bucks, so this probably is not going to be a valid trade again, unless I can do something like say, well, that 1975 really isn't a valid location for potential resistance. So what if I sold all 100 shares at that 2050? That would get me right to my trade goal, and this would be a trade that I could look at then. And again, having these all planned out. So let's say that you've got 5 charts that you want to look at, and you plan these things out. You can then sort them by the reward to risk ratio and look to enter them in that order, descending risk reward ratio, that sort of thing. That's how I use it. It just helps you compare between trades, and you can also open the 2 trades side by side. Let's just open this up and have them side by side so that you can look at VIPs versus what was the other one we just traded, or SRNE, and see, well, what do we think? What are the risk reward ratios? How much is the total risk? How much is the maximum upside reward? What do I think about these trades? Which one do I want to chase? So that's how the tool is used. I want to answer some questions that I got by email here, and then I'll open it up to questions. Excuse me. One of the questions that I got was, how do I import trades from version 1? That's Tools, Import Trades. Select the version 1 database. Next, and then you have to excuse me just a moment. I needed a drink. So then you go to find the location of your version 1 database, which is here, and it's called tv2020.db. You click open, it'll tell you there are 13 accounts in it and 126 trades, and we'll let it import. Probably should not have done that. I hope things are okay, Louise, or Louis. I don't know why I keep saying Louise. I'm going to kill this rather than let this run. Apologize for doing that. Let's go back to answer some questions now. If you've got any questions, go ahead and type them in. William, on your question from earlier, what we're doing for people who were version 1 users is that, and you should have gotten an email, by the way. I know it was sent out this weekend. I know somebody else told me they got it, but you should have gotten an email that explained this. But what we're doing is basically we're giving you 6 months of subscription for free. We waived the annual maintenance fees, which coming up here in another couple months would be, there would be a second one. We're waiving those. And also, if you get in now, you'll save that $149 as well. Sure, Jonathan. Let's just open up that VIPS. Before I go any further, though, I want to mention this. So you can see now that there's a new version available, and it pops up with that notice to tell you. You can close it and it won't bother you anymore, but you can also click download and update and it will open up in your browser and start the download. So this is a trade that we've got planned. We decide we like it. We click move to execution, and there you go. It has now been moved to execution. When we enable the brokerage integration, if your broker is something that you can integrate to, you click place order and it will pop up with an order ticket for your broker. So you want to place an entry order, or you want to place a stop order or an exit order, or if your brokerage allows it, you can place it as a group of orders, and it will pop up as a ticket that will then post. You can then send to your broker by clicking the confirm button, and it will, again, it's broker dependent, but most of them allow market orders or limit orders. Some brokerages like Interactive Brokers, I know they've got 50 different order types. I didn't say, is it Janice? I did not say when it will be available. I don't want to promise something because it would just be a guess. We've yet to start working on it. I've done the design, but I have not started the development, and I don't want to make any promises whatsoever. Well, Wally, you can move the widgets anywhere you want. Now we've got a bug at the moment that we're working with that is preventing me from wanting to show you that. But basically you grab any of these. I'll probably generate the error, but let me try it anyway. Let's say I want to reorganize these things. You grab the widget that you want to move. If you drop it when the center is blue, it will fill up the entire window with it. You can move it to the right. I'm waiting for Omnovia to catch up here. Maybe, there we go. You move it to the left, it will, put it on the left side while the rest of them are on the right. You can do it to the bottom. Again, I'm waiting on Omnovia. Or to the top. So you can reorganize within the main window. You can also click View, New Window, and that will open up an extended window, and you can drag a widget from here to its own window. And again, I'm waiting on Omnovia here. Wow, come on. So again, the same thing. Center means fill up the entire extended window. Left, right, or bottom or top would position it there. Let's see if we get lucky. Okay, so now I've got an extended window. I moved the trade log over there, and let's just resize this so we can actually see it. So now the trade log has been broken out on its own. You can have as many of these extended windows as you want. You can move them to a different monitor, whatever you want to do, so that you can organize this. Doug does use it, but I'll be honest with you, I don't think it does not have options functionality. So if you are primarily or exclusively an options trader, I don't want to recommend it to you. I know that I've got some users that used it in version 1. They said they used it to help plan their options trades. I honestly don't know how because that's not how I trade options. I trade off of Delta and a lot of factors that just are not considered in Trader Vision at this moment. So I would not use it for options, but again, I've got a couple users that told me they did, and that's really all I can tell you about that. I do not want to mislead anybody, and it's certainly not an option-specific tool. Yeah, well, Doug and I get confused too. He and I trade very much alike, but I know Doug uses it for his stock trades, but for options trades, it's simply not. We don't have the Greeks and the expirations and different strike prices, the ability to handle all of that different type of data. Back to its original location. Well, a couple different ways. I can either open another copy of the widget. So just click trade log and it will open here. But I could also highlight that. I'm waiting on Omnovia to catch up. Maybe it's caught up here. And drag it back and let go, and there it is. It's now been brought back. Good. Okay. Well, that's basically all there is to moving the and reorganizing your widgets. And there's no such thing as the preferred way to do it. When you first install it, they all open up as open in a single tabbed format. That's basically to show you that there are all the widgets that are available. But you can reorganize them however you want. You can have multiple copies. So let's just say I want to have a bunch of different watch lists. I want this one to be my mega cap stocks. I want this other watch list. And this is an example of how you can have organized above or below. So I can look at the trade log down here and my watch list up there, or vice versa. And let's make this one my high-tech one. So that's basically all there is to it. Do we have any other questions? Is there anything else I can answer for you? I do want to put that's my email address, and again the product link for anybody who wants to take advantage of the deal before the price goes up. That's the link to the product. And again, $37 buys you 60 days of use. So it's basically buy one, get one free for the first month. And then $37 a month after that. After or on March 1st, the price goes up to a $149 sign-up fee or setup fee. And then $37 a month, just like it is now. So if you're even vaguely interested, I would recommend that you take advantage now before the price, save yourself 149 bucks. I will tell you that this is not a complete and done product. So this is not like, we've got it built and we've fired all the programmers and we're going away. As I talked to Janice earlier, and I apologize if I'm saying the name wrong, but we're developing the options version. I've got a whole raft of different features that we will be developing for all versions, but basically starting with the stock version. So a scanning widget and a bunch of features to add, such as right now we're working on automated earnings lookup. Right now you have to manually populate when the next earnings are, but we will automate this so it looks up from a single data source what the next earnings date is. Of course, that won't be, not every ticker will have a reported next earnings date, but for all those that do, we'll be able to look it up. The point is that this thing will continue to develop and continue to get better I think it's a pretty great product now, but I promise you that it will be improved over time, and I would recommend that you get in on the ground floor just to save yourself that $149. But that's your choice. No, what that means, Stu, is that you have gone to, so for example, I've already got 2 watch lists open. There's no problem with having multiple watch lists open. There's no problem with having multiples of anything open, but what that means is you wanted to do a trade, and instead of clicking on the trade log that was open, you went and clicked widget trade log, and it opened another copy of the trade log widget. There's no problem with that. You just go over here to the right. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the top right, there's an X that's related to the highlighted widget. Click that X, and that last widget that was highlighted is deleted now, and now I only have 1 copy of trade log open. So it's not a problem. And again, with goals, if goals, you've got several goals are open, highlight one of them, click the X on the right hand side here, and that will close that widget. Any other questions? Good. Glad to hear it, Stu. Okay, it does not look like, I don't know, there's a couple people typing, so I'll hold on. You're welcome, Joan. Thank you for coming. Hope you have a good afternoon out west. Wally, how you delete an account? So accounts are deleted in Account Manager, and you would go to whichever account you want, or you can just go into Account Details by clicking the gear. I'm going to slow down because I don't know if Omnobi is catching up here. So you click on the gear. That takes you to Account Details. You can go to Account and select which account you want to delete. I actually don't want to delete either one of these, and then go back to Account Details when you've got the right account, and then you click the delete key or delete button in the upper right. For subscribers, what is the process to download the software? When you subscribe, Jonathan, we need to talk about that offline. This is not something I can deal with in a chat, but hang around and we'll get together. I'm sorry, Dave. So once you subscribe from that link that I posted above, that Trader Vision 2020 monthly subscription 2 link, once you subscribe, you should get an email. The email should say your hit and run candlesticks order is complete, and it may have a date in that subject line as well. If you do not get it to your email address, check your spam folder. A high percentage of people have told me that their spam folder is intercepting the order complete email. That order complete email has the download link, has your license number, and you should keep that, save that email for future reference. You click the download link and it will open up the download in your browser and automatically begin the download. Shortly after that email arrives, you will also get an email with a link to a video, a welcome email with a link to a video. That video walks you through step by step the download, the installation, which is very simple, and the registration. Again, very simple, but sometimes complicated by things like the security software on your computer, or perhaps particular Windows settings. But I walk you through most of those things, and if you have problems, just contact us. The simplest way is if you click on Help within the application and Support Ticket. That will open up the window to allow you to fill out a support form and send me an email, and I'll get it and get back to you. Does that, I'm not sure, does that answer your question, Dave? Okay, great. If there are no other questions, I want to hang around and talk to Jonathan for just a moment about his issue, and then we'll look forward to seeing you next week. You can always reach out to me at that email address above, ed@tradervision2020.com. Let me just type it again. I think I spelled that right. And of course, you have problems, you can submit a support ticket. You can get to the same support ticket form from the website. Those are the simplest ways, fastest ways. If you're in the trading room from Hit and Run Candlesticks or Right Way Options, if you see me there, you can always send me a private message, and I'll be happy to get with you. But you can't really do much troubleshooting and support by chat window. It's really something that needs email or phone call or a remote support session or something, Skype. There's got to be some visual component usually. Okay, if that's it, I want to thank you guys for coming, and again, I'm going to stop the recording, and you guys have a great evening. Good luck with the markets tomorrow, and we'll talk to you soon.